Hey everybody, welcome back to Pro AV today. Having a good conversation today about a show that really rose from the ashes post-COVID, and that is DSE, the Digital Signage Experience show that is going to be co-located in Vegas this year with LDI, another massive and wildly successful show for the Pro AV and entertainment community. So I wanted to talk a little bit today about some of the things that we can expect to see at the show, but also maybe a little bit on the LDI side of things as well to see how we can find the crossover between our traditional digital signage community and that entertainment side of the world. So my guest today is David Drain over from DSE. David, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Ben, thanks for having me.
Well, look, David, obviously things have changed post-COVID, right? That's the understatement of the century. But when you look at DSE, and I'll even loop in LDI, obviously, some of that change has been for the better. There were some challenges towards the end of maybe the old guard of DSE, but it's especially looking at last year's show, there's been a lot of success with kind of the rebirth of DSE, right? What are some of the things that folks can expect to see this year at the show?
You know, when we brought DSE and we brought it back, we changed the name from Expo to Experience. And that was kind of twofold, I think. One, reflecting how digital signage, it does transform and enhance the experience, but also just to give our attendees a good experience. And so that is all the way from just the way that we as people interact with our attendees and exhibitors and just try to really take care of them, and to the technology and the excitement that we try to bring to the event. This year, we're just excited about we build our program on education. So I'm very excited about the various speakers that we have. We have keynotes coming from Moment Factory and from Meow Wolf, who I think are two real innovators in our space and look at things differently and creatively, and I think will stimulate the audience there. We're really tackling all the subjects that are hot and people are buzzing about and want to know more about, things like artificial intelligence, things like anamorphic content, and all those sort of things. I think they're also going to be stimulated by what they see on both show floors, DSE and LDI.
Well, you talked about LDI, obviously a show that carries a lot of weight in the live design, entertainment, lighting, sound world. I love to see really that this show has fully embraced the DSE community, right? Because whether it's you talk about touring with LED walls or venues and installations, obviously you look at the sphere, right? Digital signage is the reason for the most part that folks come to the sphere. And we might talk about that here in a second. I know you've had a chance to see it in person. But, you know, I love to see really the embracing of both sides of the world. What would you say from somebody who's a traditional DSE attendee? What are some of the things that they might be able to see and learn by venturing on the other side of the aisle at LDI a little bit?
Yeah, right. Last year was the first time we had these two shows co-located. They were across the hall, so they weren't as adjacent as they are this year. And I think the folks that ventured over to LDI were really blown away by what they saw. It's a very exciting show. It's a dark show, meaning they turn off most of the lights because it is a lighting show primarily, but there's a lot of digital signage over there as well because the live event space is using LED in particular in a very big way. So there is a lot of crossover that's relevant, and we're excited this year that the two shows will literally be side by side, DSE in West Hall 1 and LDI in West Hall 2 and 3. And so they'll be easily accessible. Obviously, each participant's badge can get them into the other show. And so I think that there's a movement, even in like retail, for example, to try to give that excitement that a live event, that a concert even brings, and to liven up spaces and to do brand activations and things like that. So I think there's a lot from the live events industry that the digital signage industry could learn from, and vice versa, as they're new relatively to the digital signage space. We have a lot, I think, that we can teach them.
Well, and ironically, one of the most obvious and well-known collision points between the entertainment live design world and the digital signage world is what most people will now see when they fly into Vegas, right? Is the Sphere. You've got this massive digital display, obviously on the outside. I think it's technically the biggest outdoor display in the entire world. But it also integrates with, retail, digital signage, advertising. And then you step inside, right? You look at this gigantic screen that during the day is used for, great atmospherics. You're able to see a show. I think it's called Postcards from Earth. Highly recommend it. Haven't seen it yet, but I highly recommend it. I know you have. We'll talk about that in a second. But during the day, it's a little bit of a different experience. It's a little bit more kind of laid back. But at night, it's a fully fledged experience with U2 concerts and eventually other artists and things like that. How have you seen installations specifically like the Sphere continue to really pull both of those worlds together?
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about immersive experiences for a long time, and this is truly immersive. I don't know how you can get more immersive in a way. So the Sphere really is setting the bar. I don't know that everybody's going to go build spherical structures and try to copy them, but they really are going to give people a lot of ideas of what you can do. They are a multi-pronged building. I mean, people think, well, what is this building for? And it is for the arts. It is for entertainment. But the advertising component can't be ignored either. I know that when you advertise on the outside of that Sphere, the number of people you reach probably that are going to see it on social media is greater than the number of people, who will see it in the city at that time. So there's this new paradigm, I think, with digital out of home, where it's not only the audience that's there in the moment to see it, but it's the audience who will see it later on social media.
Well, and I've got to ask too, I'm sure that a lot of folks that'll be there at the show will try in some form, whether or not it's a U2 show or a Postcards from Earth, will want to see something there, right? And as somebody who lives in the digital signage and experiential entertainment world, I had to ask, you've seen both shows so far, which is the U2 show and Postcards from Earth. What are just some quick reactions from somebody who understands a lot of the technology that happens behind the scenes?
Yeah, just amazing, mind-blowing. Probably a lot of the adjectives you've read online as people have seen it. It really does excite you in a big way. It's really well done. It's a full experience. It's not just the screen inside. It's what they do in the lobby as well. Of course, the U2 show was just amazing, great. I think I worried, to be honest with you, about it being, I'm going to sound old, too loud, or the motion of the screen being too much to handle. And it was just perfectly done. The sound is crisp, and the visuals that they used were just spot on. They overwhelmed you, but in all the good ways, not in any kind of bad way. Then they have a lot of things, even the lobby is just with the lighting, with the LED that they use, some of the holographic type screens that they have, projection. You don't see so they have these robots that you can see if you go to the movie Postcard from Earth. That's part of the experience. You spend half hour, maybe 45 minutes before the movie starts to experience all the interactive experiences that they have in the lobby. They had those covered up for the U2 show, and as they were selling merchandise and all that sort of stuff. But they were playing atmospheric music. I'm a big U2 fan, so they must have created a special playlist where it was like little notes from songs that they played. I recognized it. I was like, oh, that's from that song. And they just really thought about giving you all the moments. And I think I mentioned I did a post about it on LinkedIn. The staff is incredibly friendly and helpful, and it's a well-staffed facility. And you're used to going just places now where, they're struggling to staff, have adequate staffing, whether it's a restaurant or or hotel or whatever. So it was refreshing to see that they had not focused completely on the technology, but they'd also focused on just the human customer experience as well. So yeah, they're just setting a new bar and going to innovate, and they're innovating, and they're going to really stimulate anyone who goes to see it with ideas on just what does that mean to me? What are some of the takeaways? I can't maybe do, I'm not going to go build a sphere, like I said, but maybe there's some idea there that I take back to my business to excite and stimulate my customers.
Well, and you're right too. I love that you mentioned the experiential aspect of digital signage, right? Because when you think digital signage, it's everything from wayfinding to, immersive entertainment and the like, right? And I think it's so important. And I think this is one of the great things about what I'll call the rebrand and the rebirth of DSE is that there is a larger embracing of not only technology, but different verticals, different applications, different experiences. A lot of that has to do with just being part of the QuestX portfolio. But a lot of that is that there has been some forward movement within the community, right? And you guys have helped lead a lot of that. So when say I'm an attendee, maybe even for the first time this year, what are some of the things that I can expect to see from an industry standpoint, right? Am I going to be able to see what's next in technology? You mentioned AI being one of the things that folks are talking about. What can I, as a first-time attendee, expect to kind of hear about and learn about from the digital signage side of things, especially as we cross over into different industries?
I think, first of all, I'll say that we really do put a lot of focus on the strategy and making sure that the attendees are thinking about their strategy, because if you don't have a good strategy, you just go buy the next cool thing. You go, oh, that's a shiny, cool tech object I'm going to put in my store. I'm going to put in my corporate lobby. And if you don't have a good strategy behind it, like, what am I trying to accomplish? What is it for? It's going to miss the mark. So that's an overriding theme. But yeah, and we also just try to make sure that we have something for everyone. So if you are new to digital signage, that there are training courses, there are talks, and that we even help you with maybe a guided show floor tour we have an introductory tour on day one of the show, so that you can get your arms around it, because it can be kind of complicated to an outsider when you first come into it. You think about the screen. I need a screen, and then you realize there's a lot of components to make that all work. And again, kind of going back to the strategy, what is it that you're trying to accomplish? So when people come, I think, and see the show, it's going to depend on certainly what they're looking for. What is their business model? We have some things. If you're in the digital out-of-home advertising space, for example, we have some exhibitors that are going to be targeted to that market. Certainly, if you're wanting to look at all the latest types of displays, those are going to be there. There's going to be several, I think, with transparent LED, which is exciting and interesting, along with other LCD and LED technology projection and projecting on glass. Just all these different formats, and you can kind of consider those and see the tried and true with the future as well. And then, of course, you start to learn about things that people in the pro AV space are more familiar with, that they need media players and PCs to run it all, and the types of companies that they'll need to work with on installation or ongoing maintenance. And there's the software, of course, and the content, which drives it all. And then, of course, there's things like companies offering specialty services, whether it's market intelligence and audience analytics.
Look, I will say, as somebody who's been to DSE in the past, it's an incredibly beneficial show for somebody, especially who's newer to the industry. But it's also insanely valuable for somebody who may have been in a previous job, role, even gone to the show pre-acquisition. Look, there's so much to learn, right? And one of the places, this is just my own personal experience, but you look at verticals like House of Worship and higher ed and so many different places like that really for the first time are having meaningful conversations around integrated digital signage, whether that's, players like BrightSign, right, where they're talking about integrating all of their, wayfinding solutions or emergency response, all the way to creating immersive entertainment or creating, primary content, right? There's so many conversations that are happening, and it's so beneficial for people maybe who have been before to kind of find out about some of these new verticals and meet new folks and things like that. So I obviously want to plug it from a long-term attendee or maybe somebody who's been before as well. But, what are some of those other verticals that you're seeing maybe pop out for the first time or make their presence known at DSE, maybe crossing over from the LDI side?
Right. That would definitely be the live events space, theaters and other kind of venues. So certainly you mentioned education. We do have a strong attendee base that comes from the university market, from people who are designing corporate environments. I think you're starting to see some healthcare come along, and we've always had retail and restaurants. You're seeing stadiums. There's just really any brick and mortar location is a possible place for digital signage, and can even be for not customer facing, but employee facing digital signage as well.
Well, look, David, I can say this. I'm excited about the show this year. There's going to be a lot of fantastic information, conversations, thought leadership happening, which I can tell you I appreciate as somebody who's been the benefactor of a lot of that content, of a lot of that thought leadership in the past. I want to encourage you guys to keep going and can't wait to see how the show plays out. If you haven't signed up yet, highly recommend doing that. But David, where can folks sign up?
Thanks. Yeah, they can go to digitalsignageexperience.com.
Well, David Drain, we appreciate you coming on the show today, talking DSE, talking LDI, and some of the ways that our community can continue to collaborate across all sorts of verticals at DSE this year. And can't wait to see the show, and best of luck to you.
Thank you, Ben. Great speaking with you.
And thank you all for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe and check us out next time on Pro AV Today.